What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Sheep podcast. We talk about people, politics, and of course, popular culture. I'm your host, Austin Creed. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you into the show. You're in for a fantastic episode. We're talking today about a topic that I don't really hear people talking all that much about when it comes to what it is, but I'll tell you something. Everybody has their opinion on it. We're talking about what is love today. Now, I know, very loaded statement. How could you possibly define love, Austin? That's very ambitious of you. Well, it's a very complicated question. A lot of different cultures have defined it in multiple different ways. I, of course, have my own thoughts on the matter, and I'm very sure that you do as well. Which is why we're going to hop into it today. So, for those of you who don't know what you're listening to, welcome to the most educational show on the internet, where we talk more, I would say, unorthodox show. We don't just... I'm looking forward to some point having guests on the show more, but I want to really set the stage here. Alright, before we do that, though, I want you to know that your voice is valuable, and it should be heard. So if you want, you can go over to my Twitter page at Aussie Creed, and you can follow me. I'm going to post this question as soon as I'm done recording this episode and putting it up for y'all to listen to. So if you want to let your voice be heard, you want to answer the question, you want to explain how you experienced love in your life, how you've expressed love, anything in between, feel free to let your voice be heard. Whether it's on YouTube or Rumble in the comments section, or you can go and answer the question on my Twitter feed. But regardless, my friends, I really want to hop into this because at the end of the day, I think everybody has an answer to this question, and I'm going to share some with you because there are multiple different examples throughout history. And, you know, I want to provide a little bit of historical context for a second before I really get into my personal experiences with love, because before we get any farther, we need to acknowledge that there are multiple different kinds of love. Of course, for those of you who know anything about the Greek language, they have, I think it's 6 different words for love. They have multiple different words for it, and it goes from erotic love, brotherly love, familial love, whatever. They have everything under the sun. But we as Americans, who speak English for the most part, we only have one word. We use it from anything from I love my dog, I love pizza, I love my mother, I love my girlfriend. You have all kinds of different contexts for love, but it's the same word. And I'll tell you something else. I have found in my own life, people are obsessed with love. They chase it. They have an incessant need to have love, as if it's paramount to the human condition. And I can't help but wonder to myself, is that true? I don't know, maybe I'm just a sociopath who's completely devoid of human emotion, but I don't know. I mean, look, everybody has needs, let's get that out of the way, but also, people have this need to feel loved. And you know what? I've looked at people exploring this concept, and I wanted to share it with you. be in community with someone else whom they love very deeply. They care for, they long for, whether it's they long for their companionship, they long for their loins, they long for everything about this person. That's where this notion comes from, is from the Greek philosophers, from Walt Disney, from the Shakespearean plays such as Romeo and Juliet, A Midsummer Night's Dream, you name it. All these different stories play off this notion that we as human beings are made to give and receive this emotion called love. That is what this whole thing is about. They put this notion forward that sexism should not be merely put down as just a physical action, that both the spirit, the mind, and the body should be all wrapped into one experience, and that man and woman were not meant to be alone. They were meant to be together. Now, that's a very romantic notion, of course. So then why is it do we see in today's society that men and women seem to be in a, quote, gender war? I don't think there is one, by the way. But why is it that we see people at each other's throats? There's almost this grappling, wrestling for power. People seem to be at an all-time unhappiness. People seem to be confused, distraught, unhappy. Why do we see all that happening today? Well, it's really not that complicated. But I really want to dive more into this because this article, I have not read all of it, but I want to really dive into it a little bit more. Let's keep reading it. Let me flip. Same-sex relationships, which we are not here to discuss. But my friends, this notion of humans having this inherent primordial desire to be with someone whom they care about is nothing new. I present to you with another individual who wrote about love and wrote about this similar concept, maybe not in the same way, but boiled it down to a little more of the everyday. I present to you the amazingly gifted English writer William Shakespeare. this. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. My friends, love is an interesting phenomenon because everybody has their own view of what love means to them. There's this concept of love languages. There's this concept of we need someone else to complete us. We need someone else to validate that we are a good person, a likable person, an enjoyable person. We almost have this biological fundamental need for someone else to affirm or even change this distorted view we have of ourselves. We look in the mirror and we see someone that someone else who looks in the same mirror at the same person will see a completely different individual who is not us, or at least not how we see ourselves. That is what I think love really comes down to, is we want someone to see us in a way that we wish we could see ourselves. And there are those of us who have this more balanced view of ourselves, who understand that we need to love ourselves. We need to be able to live with ourselves like ourselves and not resent our shortcomings, not resent the things about us we wish we could change but maybe can't. It's those little things about ourselves that we often try to run away from. We try to escape. And love is a form of that escape. Infatuation, falling head over heels and obsessing over someone else helps divert the attention away from ourselves, our own shortcomings, our own inadequacies. Who knows? Maybe I'm just talking out my butt and I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, let's be honest. Do most of us do you listening to this show? Do you listening to the Cheap Kid Shear podcast right now? Do you love yourself? Do you enjoy your own company? Or when you're alone, are you obsessing over finding someone else to hang out with, finding someone else to validate you, whether it be you want someone to tell you you're good looking, someone to tell you you're enjoyable, to tell you that you're a beautiful person? You need someone else to do that for you? Do you need someone else to do that? Because when you look in the mirror at yourself, you're not saying that. And you think that somehow someone else, if enough people tell you that you're beautiful, if enough people tell you that you're great, if enough people validate this vision of yourself that you wish was true, that you don't see, do you really think that someone else can do that for you? Whether it be 5 people, 10 people, 10,000 people, do you really think that that's going to change? I don't. I think I found this to be true in my own life. I remember a time back when I was in the military and I was still very much in the throes of my own passions because I was unhappy in my life. I was unhappy with what I was doing at the time. And I remember I was having relations with this one woman on a pretty regular basis. She was in an open relationship, blah, 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 not important details. But I remember in the back of my mind, I thought to myself, why am I doing this? And the answer kind of dawned on me because, let's be honest, when I was in the moment, when I was in the throes of passion, for lack of a better expression, my insecurities about myself, the things I didn't like, the things that were outside of my control, that I normally worried about, stressed about, couldn't put out of my mind for more than 2 seconds, just flittered out the window. They weren't around anymore. It was just I was forced to be in that moment, in that room, in that bed, and that was it. Now, does anybody else relate to that besides me? Anybody else ever had that before? Is that what love is? Is that just an escape? Well, I don't know. What do you think? I think at the end of the day, love is a complicated notion. But I think I can say with firm devotion to the truth when I say that love is a choice. Lust is an emotion. Love is a choice. Love is a choice you make every day. If you're married, You choose to love your spouse. Whether you actually like them in that moment or not, different conversation, different problem. You may not be attracted to them all the time. You may not be liking them all the time. You may not even want to be around them all the time. But you choose to love them. You choose to put them before yourself. You choose to put their happiness before yourself. That is what love is. Most people, they can't do that. They think they can, and they might be able to do it for a month, 2 months, a year. But can they do it for the rest of their life? I don't think so. I think that they want to, and in some cases they might come close, but I don't know. I'm not convinced. But this is a fundamental question, because we hear in songs and popular culture and from people of very high popularity that love is all you need. Love transcends everything. Love is the ultimate emotion. But most people don't even know what it is that they seek. It's like trying to chase the end of the rainbow. It's always on the horizon. It's always just out of reach. But you've convinced yourself that you must find it because it is the answer to all your problems. What do you think? Is it? Is it nothing more than a fantasy? Is it a reality that could be achieved if only someone did X, Y, or Z? What do you think? Have you fallen in love? Am I just someone who hasn't experienced it the way that you have and you have the answer? Well, I don't know. You'll have to tell me. My friends, I want you to fully try to embrace this idea of love and try to understand it. Does it actually work? Does it not work? What I firmly believe that arranged marriages have a higher success rate than love marriages, which we find for the most part in the West. Now, I'm not talking about the illegal ones, the ones of very low morality, very questionable ethics that we see in certain parts of the world. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just marriages that are designed to, that are kind of more diplomatic almost from families. And they learn to love each other instead of just, having it burn out like a neutron star, because love is often a chemical reaction that compels animals to breed. It will hit you very fast and then it will slowly fade, leaving you stranded in an unhappy situation, an unhappy relationship. And we see that because the divorce rate reflects that. And statistically, women lose their emotions more faster than men do. On average. Not in every situation, but on average. So my friends, what do you have to say? What do you think about what love is? Do you think love is real? Please, I'd love to hear. But until next time, my friends, I really want to hear that. I want to hear what you have to say about it, because at the end of the day, there are multiple answers to this question, and there's no simple one. I mean, I could give you the textbook definition, but who cares about the textbook definition? People care more about how it relates to their life, how they've experienced things, because everybody experiences things a little bit different. Just as everybody has a different prescription for their glasses, but most people wear glasses or contacts. It's a little bit of a different prescription. Just in the same way that everybody experiences the same realities of life differently, and thus they have a different opinion on the matter altogether. So my friends, I would love to hear what you have to say about it. You can go over to my Twitter page at Aussie Creed, or you can go over to the YouTube or Rumble pages, and you can leave a comment over there and tell me what you think. Until next time, my friends, God bless you, God bless your family, God bless this beautiful country called the United States of America. We're out of here. Peace, take care.